Hi, it's Mitch from PickDogs.com. It is Saturday, April 1st, 2023, here with your live show. We're live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No fooling. We got a massive day of sports today. Just two NBA games. We've got the Final Four in action from Houston. Then we've also got a good card of Major League Baseball games today. I think these are some competitive games going out there, and that usually means a good chance to make a lot of money. So we're all excited about it. Got a great cast of handicappers here with us as usual. Locked and loaded for Saturday action tomorrow. Just a massive freaking card. I mean, it's a Al McMorty all-nighter card for tomorrow. But got first up, Ron Romanelli. Ron, the rundown back in action. Just a few word question for you here, and it's not even really a question. Aaron freaking Judge. What do you say? Could Major League Baseball have scripted the beginning of the season any better than that?
I know. I got a little bit of chills with that home run. It's just crazy. It was the first pitch he saw all season, and bam, gone. Over 100 feet, over 400 feet over center field wall. Judge is the king of the home run, and I'm glad I'm a Yankee fan. I get to watch him.
I'm glad that we all get to watch him, even though I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm definitely an Aaron Judge fan. So I think he's one of those players that kind of like, even if you don't like his team, you can still appreciate him and what he does out there, because I think we saw last year when he was chasing the record and all of those things, we saw him the pressure just starts eating up and eating up and eating up. And you kind of figure, as a home run hitter, in general, the expectation of the crowd every single time he gets up is that for him to just smash one over the scoreboard, and it's got to be tough. And, but the thing is, he's got a lot of help on that team. And, I think this Yankees team may be a little bit more exciting than some of the ones that we've seen in recent years, at least in my book. I think that, there may be, we'll see what happens with the starting pitching, and we'll see if they make any moves as it goes on. But I think some of these, I like a lot of the moves that they've made recently, especially at the shortstop spot. I think having a guy like that on the team kind of really is where it all starts. It's like, he's not Derek Jeter, but kind of,
he's
you don't know.
Youngest player to start at shortstop on opening day since Jeter. So,
well, it's he's also he has a world of talent. I thought it was when watching him play Volpe is when he stole that base. It was basically no contest. It was not even close. Yeah. And he doesn't need the bigger bases, or anything like that. Believe me, he would have been just as safe with a smaller base.
Yeah, and you're going to see that a lot more this year because of the rule changes. So these stolen base kings, they're probably going to get to the 60s, 70s this year, just because of the rule changes with the pickoffs and the pitch clock. So we'll see. But Volpe, he's an exciting part of this team. I think the lineup-wise, Yankees are strong as ever. The pitching, they got to stay away from the injury bug. They've already had a few injuries in their rotation, the bullpen as well to start the season. So if they can stay healthy and make a couple moves at the deadline, this is definitely a contender.
Yeah, going to be fun to watch. Well, what game you want to talk to everyone about today?
I'm going to talk about the Brewers-Cubs game. We got some weird weather in Wrigley, as we're used to seeing, each day. That's why they don't release the total for these games usually until the morning of the game. But we see a low total of 6.5 runs for good reason. The wind is 25 miles per hour from left to right. It's going to be all over the place, swirling, causing, a lot of chaos in this one. And you got two strong pitchers in Brandon Woodruff, who's kind of like under the radar in this rotation because Corbin Burns gets all of the praise, Cy Young winner. But Woodruff, a solid pitcher himself. His spring training was inconsistent. He had 17 strikeouts and 15 2/3 innings. So, the strikeout numbers are good. He gave up a good amount of earned runs, but only one home run, 2 walks. I think he has a good outing here. On the other side, Justin Steele, another guy that keeps the ball on the ground. He strikes out a good amount of hitters. Good spring training himself. So we saw a low-scoring game in the first game of the series. The Brewers didn't even score a run in that one. I think we see another one here. So give me the under.
I think the under makes sense here, especially what we saw in the first game where the Brewers couldn't really even hit the ball out of the infield. I think that, Woodruff is one of those guys that he seems to always really make some bad mistakes. But So same with Steele, but we saw Steele be pretty impressive last season at times in spots. And, he's one of those guys that probably is going to get better as he gets more familiar. And I lived in Chicago, so I know how nasty it can get there. I lived there for a long time, and I've been to a lot of lousy Cub games too. Usually when people come into town and want to see the cesspool. So, anyways,
yeah, and Steele pitched against the Brewers a lot last year. 31 innings. He had a 2.03 ERA, 39 strikeouts. So he's pitched really well against Milwaukee in his young career so far.
Yeah, I've said it a few times already, in this young season. I think the Cubs are going to be one of the surprise teams. And I've been a Cubs basher for a long time. Everyone knows
I know
favorite,
you have.
my favorite team is the White Sox, and my second favorite team is that whoever's playing the Cubs. And the thing is that I think in this one though, I just think this year, I just for some reason I just really like that Cubs roster. I just think that getting rid of some of these cancers like Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant and Baez now getting that whole fungus removed from the locker room.
The World Series fungus.
Well, it's not. It's World Series. It's World Series fungus. But it was also guys that were like, they weren't making the team better. They weren't going to make the team.
Yeah,
better.
I mean,
they
them
had
and
topped
themselves,
out.
but
They had topped out. All three of those guys had topped out. At least what they could contribute to that organization.
Well, yeah.
And
I think Rizzo's definitely valuable for the Yankees. Javi Baez has struggled in the last couple of years.
He's valuable for those of us that like to bet against the Yankees, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, Rizzo's been good. Rizzo's a fun Yankee. He's Italian. It's fun for the
right. I understand that angle, but that's the only angle that there is.
No, he was a great player last year for the Yankees.
And he's the best player in the most meaningless spots. I think that's his reputation. In the big games, in the big situations, he does what he always does, strikes out. He does all the time. He is just not a big situation hitter. And to me, that's why I don't like him. I like the guys that even if, even when they don't have the best season, even when they're not having their best game, they get up in the biggest spots and they just deliver, and it's like, I mean, we see it time and time throughout. These are the guys that we consider the all-time greats. Anthony Rizzo seems just a little too accepting of the strikeout for my taste. I like my favorite interview, baseball player of all time was Gary Sheffield talking about how he just hated walking back to the dugout after striking out, was just the worst thing in his entire life. And that, he was 10 years probably retired when I heard the interview, and he's still mad. He started talking about it, he's like all worked up again. He's just like, embarrassed by it. But Anthony Rizzo just seems to take it in stride, and because it is par for the course for him at this point. But anyways,
I think you just have a personal vendetta against Rizzo.
I don't like him and Bryant. I just think that the two of them, they just have that whole high school jock, thing going on. And to me, that's what he's always going to be,
You're funny, Mitch, but I love you the way you are.
Oh, at least I have an opinion. And as they say,
no.
If you haven't offended somebody, you haven't said anything at all.
So, I'm not offended, but I think you're wrong. But we'll disagree to disagree. You're entitled to your wrong opinion, as Dr. Holly once said.
It's tough being right all the time. It's tough being right all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, what are you selling today? You have a rundown play? You got anything for the you have a jam session play? You got anything like that going on today?
Well, I'll let Jay do the jam sessions, but I got
the bank shot breakdown. We got to come up with a new name next year.
I don't know, but I got a bunch of suggestions for the rundown.
I'll ask Goran. I'll ask Goran if he's got any catchy suggestions. It'll be Ron's college basketball picks. Why do we call it Ron's college basketball? It's real kitschy. Goran's great.
Yeah, that'll catch on. Anyway, I got a 3-pack in the MLB. All 3 plays are plus money plays that I really like, so hopefully make a profit there. And I've also got my top play in the Final 4 games for college basketball. So 4 picks in total if you want to grab a long-term plan. And looking, slow start in the MLB thus far for the premium plays, but the rundown picks have been great. So make sure you check out the Ron's Rundown YouTube videos this year.
All right, Ron. Well, thanks for joining us, and thank you for an awesome college basketball season. We know it's going to be a great baseball season. A lot of people have some suggestions for you in the YouTube comments as to how the rundown should go this year.
Well, the funniest one I heard was we needed to make a little bit more of a flair in the intro for Ron's rundown compared to the bank shot. I think I say the intro the same exact way. I say, hey everybody, it's Ron for Pick Dogs. It's Ron's rundown, Ron's bank shot breakdown. I don't think I have any.
I thought it was hey guys. I thought it was hey guys.
That's hey everybody. But maybe I get more excited for the bank shot intros. But I didn't.
So you inspired me. I'm doing a little bit of long form recorded video.
I'm liking them.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And I'm actually going to be adding a couple more. You know me. It's like I do one. I can't.
Of course.
I don't just run. I run marathons. I can't help myself. So it's like I have a few other videos I'm going to be doing, and hopefully some of the other guys join in as well. I think I'm so used to doing the short videos. It's like I get out there and I started doing the long ones. And, even the 5-minute one is quick because there's a lot of information in a short amount of time. But doing the video and just being able to take my time as long as I want to take on each one and doing one video, it's something I haven't done in a very long time. I really, really like it. So,
yeah, I'm enjoying it too.
I'm enjoying it.
Yep.
It's like I get to show everyone I actually do know what I'm talking about some of the time.
Unless you're talking about Rizzo.
No. Maybe Rizzo from Greece. Anyways, thanks, Ron, for joining us, and we'll see you.
All righty. Good luck, everybody.
That was Ron Romanelli, the rundown already in midseason form, 12-3 opening day. A lot of people say, "Oh, I want to wait to see the picks, to see how everyone's playing." Ron, he goes on the rundown, does all 15 games, goes 12-3. Al, surprised at all by that?
Never surprised by anything.
Not at all. Not one bit, man. I love the people in the comments that said before he did it, were like, "Oh, I always like to wait a couple of days or whatever." And it's like, I understand that, with a lot of sports, but it's like, well, you don't have to pick them because you got Ron to pick them.
Exactly.
So, beauty of it.
Well, big day for you, Mitch.
It is. This is our day, but it feels weird because for us, it's really not where we expect to be, and not where it's not a familiar place for us. And kind of like in football, we kind of, even though we haven't been there in a while, we kind of expect it, But here, it's like, who would ever thought it, and ran the gauntlet. I knew we were better than most people gave us credit for all season long. We won a lot of big games. A lot of the games that we lost, we were missing, a key player. I think our starting five is as good as anybody's, and we'll find out today. But this UConn team can put up a lot of points in a hurry, and they've beaten some really good teams too. We beat some good teams too. So we'll see. We beat 1, 2, and 4 in our bracket, in our region. We beat Texas. We beat Houston and Indiana. I think most people would say that's a pretty good run.
Yeah. See what happens. I'm rooting for Miami. I love Larinaga, and
I think every kid in the country wants to play for him. I think it's been a great recruiting video for us.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about another Miami team, the Miami Heat. Both the Heat and Mavs are coming into today's game off losses. The Mavericks lost at Philadelphia 116-108 on Wednesday. The Heat also lost on Wednesday. They lost by 9 points at New York, 101-92. That was actually Miami's third straight loss, both straight up and against the spread. And the Heat, they're really good when they're off 3 or more ATS losses in a row. They've gone 56-33 ATS with 2 pushes, their last 91. So I think that bodes well for Miami here. And additionally, Miami plays this game with revenge from a 25-point loss earlier this season to the Mavericks. And home teams are now 66-49 ATS when they're playing with revenge from a 25-point or worse upset loss. Miami was favored in that game that they did lose earlier this season. So I'm going to take Miami in this game here. It's priced near pick'em, and I think Miami wins pretty comfortably.
It's crazy because I'm about as big a sports fan as there is, outside of the handicapping stuff, just as a fan. But Miami, just a lousy sports fan town. I mean, the fans are just some of the worst in the world. And the thing is that, the ones that are into it are just way over the top into it, like I am. And it's just a tiny percentage of the people. But today in South Florida, you've got Miami playing in the Final Four. You have Florida Atlantic playing in the Final Four. You have the Florida Derby and the Heat playing all today and all around the same time, and the Marlins at home all at the same time. So kind of like what it is you get the 12 sports fans in South Florida, and they all get watered down. It's going to be probably a lot of empty events is the way that it probably works itself out to be. But I think, the Mavericks just stinking it up. And I know Jay, it's got to hurt him, because he was expecting big things when they got Kyrie, but it's been a shit show for them.
I could have told him when they got Kyrie this was going to happen. So.
What do you think actually goes on behind the scenes with Kyrie Irving? This is like,
I don't know. I don't want to know, to be honest with you. Yeah, not sure. Not sure at all. There's also another game which I can mention. It was close for me to, be a premium, just didn't make it because of the point spread. And that's the XFL game between Orlando and the DC Defenders. What you have in this game, I know most people aren't paying attention to the XFL, but you've got the Orlando Guardians, who are 0-6 on the season, by far the worst team. And they're a 9.5-point home underdog to the DC Defenders, who are the best team this year. They're 6-0. And if you want to use the NFL kind of as, as instructive, and for me, football's football, and gambling's gambling. So I don't really care that it's XFL instead of NFL or USFL. To me, it's all just football. But if you look at situationally what's happened over the years in the NFL, double-digit home dogs have just been consistently very good. They're 127 and 99 ATS. So if Orlando was 10 points or higher, I think Orlando would be a decent play. It's just almost there. It's 9.5. Some people might say that big deal, it's a half point, but in handicapping, you have to pay attention to half points. So it's close. So I think people should, watch it. The other thing is that, if you take a look at the NFL, if you get teams that are 6-0 or better, so undefeated teams at game 7 forward, when you get those teams favored by more than 5 points away from home, they've been terrible over the years in the NFL. They've covered just 35%. So I think, all in all, Orlando's a okay, play to put maybe pizza money on right now. But if it moves to 10, then it gets to be a better play.
You're underrated horse racing handicapper. It's not your thing that you.
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm underrated.
You really
I'm not a horse racing handicapper because I only do it like 3 or 4 times a year.
I know, but you have a tremendous ROI, right? If you go by the ROI on your picks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy good.
I've had one guy. He was on me from the last Triple Crown. He would literally call me every week to ask me and I had to keep saying to him, no, I'm not going to have anything. Like call me. Maybe I'll have something, in October for the Breeders' Crown, but probably not, and it's just, I don't have the time. And you have to invest the time with anything, whether it's baseball or football or basketball or hockey or horse racing. If you want to do it well, you have to really invest the time. I don't have the bandwidth to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But I'll do it 3 times.
Well, I tried to squeeze a Florida Derby pick out of him there. Everyone heard it. No. Didn't happen. But,
no, I'm sorry.
Wasn't for lack of effort on my part.
I'm not going to, take a guess without doing the adequate research.
Well, Florida Derby generally one of the big preps, and probably this will be one of the races that you use right as you go forward to handicap out. Yeah. For the Derby, the winner usually is an automatic for the Derby. Well, what do you got going on today at Pick Dogs?
I've got what do I have? I've got an XFL play, so it's not the DC Orlando game, it's the other game. I've got a play in the Final Four. It's a totals play. I've got 1 NBA and 1 hockey. So 4 plays. Yeah, 4 plays in all. And no baseball right now. And then, tomorrow's, there's a ton of NBA action tomorrow. So we'll definitely be in action there, and decent hockey card as well.
Are you in a holding pattern for baseball?
I just, what I like to do, Mitch, I like to wait until the pitchers get 2 or 3 starts under their belts before I take the plunge. That's just how I prefer to do it. I don't want to rely on you get pitchers who can look like Cy Young one year and,
Oh, definitely.
And I've learned, for me, the way I like to do things over the years, I've just learned it's a long season. It's 162 games plus another, 15, 20 playoff games. And if I want to just wait for 15 games so I can get some data of the pitchers and see how things are going rather than guess, then that's what I'm going to do. But that's what works for me. Other people, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Brian, he's a great handicapper, especially in baseball. He goes to spring training in Arizona and he, really like lives this stuff. For him, the way he does things, he knows he's going to be better early because he's going to have softer lines and he could take advantage of, the mispriced games earlier rather than later. But for me, with baseball anyway, I want to do it the other way.
Yeah, I think there's usually value. I try and tread a little lighter, at the beginning of the season. I don't know. I've probably been a little bit heavier this year than normal, but I don't know. I think most starting pitchers now only go like 5 innings. So handicapping the bullpen is almost more important than the starting pitcher because you just see it. I mean, you saw it last night in Chicago and Houston. We saw it in, Miami and the Mets the other night, the opening night. Where the Mets were up 3-0, the Marlins came back, and the Mets came right back and pounded the bullpen again. And the Braves against the Nationals too, just made it a close game, just into a rout. But anyway, it should be plenty of time left between now and it goes to November. It's like goes to November. Soon it'll go to Christmas.
It's crazy. It goes to I think November 4th or something is when it's expected to end this year. I don't get it. I don't understand why they can't play more double headers, condense the schedule, and finish by like October 23rd when the weather is still good. You play the whole season where it's nice temperatures, and now you're playing the championship games in freezing cold. It makes no sense to me.
I always thought that, and I'll say it a million times, that there's 2 things that baseball should do. One is end the season at Labor Day. When football starts, just end the season, go right to the playoffs, have all of the playoff games during the week, even daytime, whatever, just have them all during the week. Just leave the weekends for football, let them have it and then play it during the week. You'll get way more out of it. Also, every day during the summer, when there's the 2 months where it's just baseball, have one game that starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, have one game that starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time on the 3 to 4 days a week, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those 4 days have a game that starts at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern time on each of those days. It will take the popularity of the Twins-Brewers game and put it through the roof, especially with sports betting going on. It'll take the A's versus the Mariners, and it will put it through the roof. It's like, I don't understand why they don't do it. I wrote this to Peter Manfred. Did not return my calls, but I don't know. It just seems like, you have a website, so you see, this is where you see action on games where people they don't understand.
100%. I wonder why. I think for a lot of people, maybe like when they do the businessman specials, obviously maybe they get 19,000 in the stands instead of, whatever they get after people are out of work. I think maybe that has something to do with it, but you would think, they could just sell a TV contract to someone around that, similar to the Monday Night Football, right? Where it's only the afternoon games and they'll just make their money off the TV.
Right. Or you just have them on the MLB network, those games, and then split the revenue among the teams, because the way it works out, because I did the math, because I wrote this, I actually did write this letter. If you Google Manfred, his phone number is on the internet. You could just I called his office to make sure he got my email. It's 2 home games per season per team to make that happen. Because it's only 4 days during some weeks, right? Four days during some weeks. There's a few holidays in there too, where there's day games anyway. So it's 4 It's 4 days per week. It ends up being 2 home games per season per team that gets moved into the daytime spots. That's all it is.
I know, but if you look even what they've done from the 1970s to now, they've even done away with the double headers for the most part, where you used to get 2 games for one. Now, if anything, they'll do a day-night game, or you have to buy tickets to both. I mean, it's like they don't even want to give away one game.
How about when they made the double header 7 innings and they still charge full price admission for a day night? It's like,
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not on the inside. I don't know all the all the monetary things that they have to go through and to pay all the players. I'm sure the players don't want to get 161 divided by 162, and they they want to get paid for all the games. So
there's never been a stronger union in the history of the world, of all unions, than the Major League Baseball Players Union. There's never been a player that's crossed the line, ever. Of any union, like any kind of union of anything, there's never been a stronger union than the Major League Baseball Players Association, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing.
Well, it means that it kind of puts us where we're at, though, with, the big market teams always being the teams, and then the small market teams not being the teams because there's no salary caps or restrictions. So all the big market teams are going to be able to, and it's never really, what I noticed over the course of baseball, and, obviously this segment going a little bit longer than we thought, but, one of the things that we see in Major League Baseball is that at this time of the year is that some of the lower teams this is where they make you'll see the best baseball out of them. Like generally before the All-Star break, teams like the Pirates are good. And then the second half of the season is when they start to fade. Right. Yeah, and that's because
August, end of July and August.
Yeah, because the depth, they have no depth. Their guys are worn down from a long season. Meanwhile, the other teams, they're off the bench they got Matt Carpenter sitting there, who's had half a season to sleep, or someone like that who can just come in and play, or Hader, who knows who, they got on that bench. So, guys that can play, guys that can start on other teams. So that is the difference maker. But anyways, Al, thanks for joining us.
Good luck.
We got a whole season to talk about baseball, and of course, NBA playoffs on the way. And your Spurs, how long until the ping pong?
It's May 22nd. Is
May 22nd. Going to probably saving a lot of lucky pennies and some rabbit's feet. And
I have no delusions. We have a 14% chance, as does Houston and Detroit. So even with the 3 teams all added together, the 3 worst teams who have the best chances, it's still only 42% chance. There's a 58% chance that someone not in the bottom 3 is going to get the guy. So that kind of puts it in perspective.
Well, luckily for you, the Lakers and the Celtics don't have draft picks, or the Knicks, because if one of those 3 teams, they always seem to win.
Yeah, it's as long as he doesn't go to the Rockets, I'm happy.
Oh, we'll see.
Anyone but the Rockets.
You know what they say. Okay.
Well,
it'll be the Rockets.
I mean, hopefully you're in a good mood tomorrow. It's spring break.
I'm gonna actually on this one. I honestly am gonna be in a good mood either way, because I just think that for us, it's. I said it last week. I'll say it again. We are happy to be there. Of course, you want to win, and
you want to win because you may never get back there.
We might never get back, but you know what? We never thought we were going to be there either. So it's it's kind of like, for us, this is the pinnacle. We're not seen as a basketball school or powerhouse, but maybe we will be now. I mean,
right.
Maybe things have changed, and there's a lot of good talent in South Florida. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, my kids are on spring break, so we'll be traveling. Hopefully I can make it tomorrow. It's dependent upon family and all that other stuff.
All right, Al. Well, be safe regardless.
Yeah. Good luck, Mitch.
Thanks. Al McMorty, always a lot of commentary there on the side. Next up, we got the other Al. We got Al Ninos. Al, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Mitch?
Hanging in there. Just full slate going on as usual. Just trying to manage everything here. So, you're off to a decent start here at baseball. You've been kind of on the active side,
Yeah.
So far to start it off. I mean, yesterday there was only 5 games, but so we've only had 20 games this season. But anything out there in baseball that you're noticing already? The pitch clock, I think I like it with the pitch. I like the pitch clock. I think it's long overdue. I thought that and mound visit restrictions were things that were long overdue. I mean, Wilson Contreras they should just call it what it is, the Wilson Contreras rule. I mean, this guy mound visited after every pitch.
Yeah, but I know it's a lot of changes. That's not just the pitch clock; it's also the pickoff attempts, and all that. I think it's going to lead to shorter games. Obviously, is the goal, and the other goal was you might think shorter games, less scoring, but the other goal is more offenses. You see a lot of sports go that way now, favor the offenses, whether it's with the fouls or anything. But I think we're going to see a lot more stolen bases, which put more runners in scoring position. The pitch clock, I think, kind of could work both ways, and as I mentioned with Tony real quick, I think the better catchers, I think, will play a big role into that because the clock doesn't start till the pitcher gets the ball back. So whether it's throwing it to first base or taking your sweet time throwing it back to the pitcher, I think it's important. That's important. Also, the chemistry with the pitcher and catcher is going to be important. But yeah, so far I've been loving what I've seen. Obviously, I haven't hit every one of my picks yet, but definitely really glad to see baseball back. Still waiting to see. Honestly, I had mixed feelings about the rule changes. A bit of a purist, but again, I do understand that baseball can get pretty boring and slow. So I understand some of the changes. Whether they were all necessary or not, I think remains to be seen. We have a full season to test them out and see how they go. But overall, I think it should make the game a little bit more fun again, and yeah, it should produce more offense as well.
Well, I just think we started to see these games, for the East Coast fans ending at 2-3 o'clock in the morning out on the West Coast, and I think that had something to do with it as well.
Yeah, especially even more important for fans on the East Coast that are fans of West Coast teams, such as myself. Watching some of these Dodgers games can be pretty tough, or used to be pretty tough. Making it till the end of the game. But yeah, you're right. That should help out with that as well, with the late starts. People will be able to watch the whole game. So yeah, it should be some good changes, I guess, overall. But we'll see how they go. Still got a lot to see before making my final judgment on them, I guess. But so far, I think it's for the best overall.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you got for everybody today?
Going to be looking at the Blue Jays, who played a very fun game in their season opener against these Cardinals. A lot of back and forth. They end up winning that one 10-9. And we might see some more back and forth. These are two lineups that can hit the ball really well. Interesting pitching matchup here. I do think they have the edge with Kevin Gausman getting the start here. One concern here is that Paul Goldschmidt does hit him really well, so you have to pitch around him for us. Jack Flaherty on the other side, has pitched really well against the Blue Jays, but is yet to face Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero, so they could definitely mess his numbers up against this lineup as well. All that being said, I got to give the edge, again, two pretty fun lineups to watch, but I think the more exciting one is this Blue Jays lineup, and I think it probably makes the difference in this one. I think they get the win again. So I'm going with the Blue Jays on the money line here.
I'm anti Kevin Gausman. I just think he's always one of those guys. It's like the world of potential guy. He had one good season in San Francisco where most pitchers seem to go to have their one good season, except for Carlos Rodon, who really wasn't very good, I didn't think, in San Francisco last year. But I don't know, man. I just can't get behind Gausman on the road. I can't get behind him at home. And I think him and Barrios are part of the problem in Toronto. Probably ship him off to one of these teams that just always makes bad trades, like the Washington Nationals. I don't know. It just seems to me he is the weakest link.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him definitely two sides of him. We've seen the good side and the bad side of him, and which one he brings this season will be well, he'll get a chance to show us started off today. But again, not the easiest matchup for him to start off in on the road, as you mentioned as well. Could end up being another high scoring game. Flaherty dealt with lots of injuries last season, so again, interesting to see how he'll do this season, how far he'll go into this game, and all that.
I mean, it's one of those games, and that's why in my on my Nerfy video, I said yes runs in the first inning in this one because I think both these guys have the ability to mess up. It's like just not sure what you're going to get. These are two guys that could throw a no hitter. Go head to head no hitter, and these are two guys that can give up 15 runs in the first 2 or 3 innings. I mean, that.
As far as you mentioned the pitchers' consistencies. I think you could argue that the Cardinals may be the more consistent lineup, but I do think, again, more potential out of this Blue Jays lineup. They could really go off when they go off. And, again, could be another high-scoring one. Could be I mean, as far as the Nerfy is concerned, no, I'm not a big Nerfy or Yerfy guy. It's not a big bet I make. Even if you get 2 aces on the mound, you're facing the best batters of the opposing lineups, 1, 2, 3. So it just takes one swing to hit a home run, and with these guys, I mean,
a lot of pitchers are slow starters, especially the really good ones are known as slow starters. So that's why I always think that there's more value on the over half a run or the Yerfy than there is on the Nerfy, but. I don't know. A lot of people, they love the Nerfy because they just think that there's never any runs in the first inning. That's, we've saw it last night, White Sox, Astros. Yes. Guardians against the Mariners. Yes. With good pitchers out there in these games.
And that's the thing. You're usually paying a freaking luxury tax when it's a pitcher's duel. So
Javier got smoked. He was lucky to get off the hook when he did, in that game. He got he got crushed.
Yeah. Again, you never out the gate. You see guys like Big Al try to be a bit more careful. He wants to see 2-3 starts out of these guys, and fair enough. I love my baseball a bit too much to pass up on it like that, but I understand that strategy too. You got to see what how these guys look when they come out, and where their heads at as well. So that can be important as well.
All right. Well, what do you got for sale pick dogs today?
A lot of MLB today. Got a 3-pack there. I got my best bet and. On NHL, got my best bet college basketball, my $19 play in the NBA. But yeah, a lot of action in the MLB and two plays in college basketball actually. So good time to pick up a long-term 2-for-1 capper special.
All right, Al. Thanks for joining us.
All right. See you, Mitch.
I always do that. It's Al Ninos. Next up, we'll have Jay Briggs. Short card today in the NBA. Just 2 games going on. Mavs Heat, one of those games, of course. Miami Texas rematch of last week's matchup.
Yes, sir.
But a little less meaningful, I think, for both of us. I think the Heat are locked into the play-in situation at this point, and the Mavs maybe a little bit more meaningful for them. They've got to make a move. But the thing is, just one game in the loss column is all it is. And it's not just one team that they're chasing. So while they need help, there's a chance they're going to get it. They have 5 games left, including today. And they really just need one win and a loss by one of the teams ahead of them, or 2 losses by one of the other teams ahead of them, who are also both fully capable of losing 3 games, over the stretch. But the Mavs, they've got to put it together. I mean, it's either what do you do if they don't? Because it's like this team is they're gonna have to hit that free agent thing pretty hard somehow.
I'm not gonna overreact. I think we're fine. Like you said, there's some teams ahead of us that I think do fall out of there. Most notably the Pelicans. Their schedule coming up is pretty brutal. I don't think they win a game the remainder of the season. The Thunder Buddies, I love that team, but they're hanging on by a thread right in front of us as well. It's going to be interesting.
Didn't
Everybody
look good
knows
last
how I
night.
feel about the Mavs game today. It's the
Thunder
Heat at
didn't.
home.
Thunder did not look good last night. I'll tell you that much.
Nah, they didn't. So
Not their best day with SGA playing in that one too. And I think it's like he's one of these guys. It's like you never know if he's playing or not anymore. And it's like even though he did play, it didn't matter. No
Yes,
help
sir.
at all. No help whatsoever.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be an interesting race to close out the season, man. Seeding wise, and I said this morning on the gym session that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 1 fall this year in the playoffs, a 2 fall, a 3 fall. I think it really could, just depending on how the seeding shakes up. It's gonna be interesting.
What do you got cooking for everybody today?
Today, I'm gonna stay in the NBA. I'm gonna go to the other game. Now I'm gonna go to the Clips Pelicans. I'm gonna take the Clippers on the money line. I think this Clippers win streak, I mean, not the Clippers, the Pelicans win streak they've been on is complete fool's gold. Yes, they have been playing decent here recently, but I just don't necessarily put too much emphasis on the teams that they beat. Yes, they did beat the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, they beat the Houston Rockets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the G League team with all the rotational players. But, I'm not impressed by any of those teams. And yes, they did go into Denver and win that last one with, pretty much nobody playing. I think the Clippers get some quick revenge, as that is the only win here recently that the Pelicans have had that was a solid win, in my opinion. They did go into Los Angeles and win that game nicely, 131-110. We're getting quick revenge today. The Pelicans also have won both meetings between these two teams this season. I don't think the Clips lose 3 straight to this Pelicans team. I think they do win this one. I'm seeing Kawhi in there today. I'm seeing Russell Westbrook in there today. No Paul George and Eric Gordon, but I think the Clips pull this one out on the road. I'm not going to overreact too much to their injury news. I do think the Clippers are the better team. I'm getting them as a dog. I'm taking them on the money line.
Seems that the Clippers, it's like you just never, this is like they've created this environment for the NBA where it's like you're just never sure who's going to play. These guys invented it. They have a full roster full of guys that it's like not sure just how involved they even are in this thing anymore. But when they're at full strength, they're really good. But the problem that they have here is they're in a tough spot here because they've got to win. They've played themselves into this position. They were in a much more comfortable spot a week ago. But now when you look at the standings with just 5 games left to go in the regular season, they're in the 5 spot, but they have the identical record with the Warriors in the 6 spot, not the team you want to be battling in the standings with by any stretch of the imagination. But where it starts to get odd here, when I was looking at this morning before the show, because this is what I do, right? I mean, it's like, this is what I do. It's like people are like, what do you do in your spare time? I was like, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to do the math, figuring out how the Lakers get in and the Clippers find themselves on the outside, on the outside here, because it is so possible here, because it's only, while the Lakers are at 39 wins and the Clippers are at 41 wins, it's only 1 game in the loss column. They don't need that much help. They just need a little bit of help. And the thing that the Lakers last year, remember they were in the play-in, they were like the 10th team in the play-in or something. They got busted up and shipped out, and it's like, so they know that they can't just show up and they're all of a sudden in the playoffs. They know it's a way better position to be in. There's no reason to take that chance because they have to play for now. LeBron's not getting any younger. AD's not getting any healthier. And it's, these guys, they have a limited amount of chances. 10 years ago, LeBron knew, well, there's next year. I can lose. I can, we made it. We lost, but we're going to come back next year. I have another chance. He's running out of those. And AD, who knows with this guy's health. I mean, it's amazing to me that he still suits up and plays so much. And it's like he still, like last night, he still rolled his ankle, right? I mean,
Street clothes, Anthony Davis.
Yeah. It's like, so. I mean,
but yeah, it's really interesting. This West is really tight right now. The Clips might fall out of there. The Lakers, they're above 500 for the first time this season. Maybe they put a few more together and get out of there. Maybe the Clips fall in there. We'll see.
Pelicans lose here. I mean, they're back down to 39 losses, be one game ahead of the Mavs if the Mavs can get the win tonight. And, the Heat actually in that game, and I know it's not the game we talked about, but really a lot less to play for than the Mavericks. I mean, because they're kind of in that spot. They've had their chances to catch the Nets. It's probably not going to happen. And the Hawks, they're not catching anybody.
Yeah, the Pels remaining schedule. They got the Clips, Kings, Grizzlies, Knicks, Timberwolves.
Yeah, that's loss, and it's Timberwolves. So if I bet on the Timberwolves, then they'll probably.
I'm in the same spot. I got a nickname for them: the House of Disappointment.
They are just. Oh my God. I hate them. I hate them, man. Can just burn some money. Yep. Well, Jay Briggs, what do you got for everyone today at Pick Dogs?
Yes, sir. 3 plays for me in total today. I got a play in each sport. A play in the NBA, my $19 NBA Jam Session play. I've hit 6 of my last 8 on that play. So we go for 7 of our last 9 on it. I got an MLB play. My play of the day, I hit both to begin the MLB season. Trying to go for that today, and I got a play in the Final Four. So 3 plays for me today. Trying to keep it going. Been pretty hot this week. Trying to keep it rolling.
Those of you out there that want to become a handicapper, I would just follow Jay Briggs and listen to every word that he says, because this guy knows what he's doing. He's still really in his first year with us at Pick Dogs, and I mean, like a pro already, because kind of like keeps his own identity, keeps his own thing, does his thing, but at the same time, if he has questions about what to do, he asks, and he knows that he has me. He's got Big Al. He's got guys. He's got Ruffalo. He's got, he's got all these. He never guesses about the things that, are important to the rest of us, but at the same time, the stuff that's always important to him, he stays true to it and does his own thing. And it's like, I think that's what it really takes. I get all these emails from guys that say, "Oh, I should be a handicapper on your site." I've had 37 games that they pick total right on their Instagram with some kind of fake picture or something. It's like, that's not how you do it. It's like you do some videos, you show I can do it, whatever. It's like, I just can't tell you, man, how thrilled we are to have you as part of our Pick Dogs family.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here, man. And just trying to give everybody some winners and keep making money every day.
It is living proof, man. It could be life-changing in a hurry. So,
Yes, sir.
All right, Jay. Thanks for joining us again.
See y'all later on today.
Oh, I always do that, man. I always hit the wrong button. Anyways, we got Chris Ruffalo to round out the show. He's got some kind of weird lighting, so he's got a green splotch across his forehead, but that's okay. We're used to it. That's from doing this all day. It's like, how did Ninos pick that? What did Ninos just say? That comes from. I got that wrinkle right here. It's my Ninos wrinkle. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, that's like the dry spot where you just like have you touch it too much or you smack it too much.
We actually have Rod still with us too. I just saw him pop into the green room as well. So we'll have Rod after this. So Chris, so far a few days into Major League Baseball season, got NHL winding down their season. And, Major League Baseball just getting things started. These are the days where baseball is tolerable, hockey, for me, always intolerable. But the thing is, even I enjoy watching the hockey playoffs. Like if I'm going to watch a hockey game, I could sit through a playoff game. And I'm telling you, it could be like, the Vancouver Canucks against the Quebec Nordiques, man. I could sit through and watch it, in the NHL. It's like if it's playoff hockey. I know those teams aren't around anymore, but I know that. But you know what I'm saying? It could be the two teams that you never heard of. You could just see some of the greatest, greatest things. But playoff hockey and regular season hockey are just two different games. It's like two entirely different games.
Completely different element. Yeah,
yep.
100%.
It's kind of like when you go to see boxing and you see the undercard fights compared to the main event. It's just
exactly.
Different. It's just a totally different thing.
Yeah, that's what I remember doing that. A few years ago, like I had a friend that would never ever watch hockey, and I said, "Look, sit down, watch a regular season game, and then watch a playoff game, and you will see what we're talking about when we say that playoff hockey is just different. And
Did you say thank me later?
I don't know if I did or not. I might have before. I might have, because I didn't have the wisdom I have now where I don't say that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from my mistakes, but
I would say thank you. Thank me later. That was me.
Lock emoji.
Lock emoji. Love the lock emoji. The lock emoji, and I've gotten greater appreciation for the clown emoji.
The pile of poop emoji.
Anyway, speaking of clown emojis, what do you got for us today?
Shut up. Well, for me today, I'm going to go to that matchup between the Phillies and the Rangers. And, the Phillies have had no success in Texas, or at least against Texas, 1-11 in the last 12 meetings overall. But I think that they're at least going to have some success in the first 5 today. I'm going to go with the Phillies on the money line in the first 5. I think when Texas wins this game today, it probably come by the bullpen for the Phillies imploding once again here. But I think the Phillies can at least get to Nathan Eovaldi early. I mean, he was in the bottom 6% of pitchers last year in terms of hard hit percentage. Gave up just a ton of hard contact. And yeah, this is a Phillies team that doesn't necessarily have Bryce Harper or Rhys Hoskins, but they still got the reigning NL home run champion in Kyle Schwarber. Still got JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott. This is a Phillies team that can at least put bat to ball against lesser pitchers that they're going to face. And the Texas Rangers, I'm good for them for bringing in Jacob deGrom. They got great number 2 in Martin Perez, but bringing in Nathan Eovaldi was a head scratcher for me. Still remember the days where this guy gave up 5 home runs in a single inning. And I think we see more of that same Eovaldi here. I think the Phillies come out swinging to start the game. I think, like I said, I think they win it in the first 5, but I don't think they win full game. So I'll take the Phillies on the money line the first 5.
Yeah, Phillies just not a great team on the road in Texas. They were spotted 5 runs in the first meeting and gave those right back. Aaron Nola, 4th inning. Aaron Nola show. Seen that before. I can't get behind the Phillies on the road in Texas, or the Phillies. Last year we saw the Phillies in the second half of the season, and not just the second half of the season, really the last 2 months of the season and the playoffs go on that run. And when you look at the chart on the profitable teams and all that, you can go back to last year, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Is that most of the season was just basically a lot of garbage, and they're just not good without Bryce Harper in the lineup. And I hate to say that because I'm not a Bryce Harper fan, but he is the glue there. Yeah, Trey Turner, anytime beanball for me. I think Trey Turner gets beaned in the 3rd inning.
Oh man, I'll have to show you. There's a video game I used to play where you could actually intentionally hit the batter in the head, and the word beanball would come up on the screen, and you would just hear this hollow plunk as they would fall over. That's just what I imagine would happen to Trey Turner.
Anyways. All right. Well, what are you selling to Pick Dogs today?
Today got my $19 NHL Power Play. Also got a 3-pack from MLB, but this is a great time to jump on long-term. Any long-term passes, you get my 2 Final Four plays today, as well as a couple of bonus NHL plays mixed in as well.
Well, you got the full Monty going tomorrow as far as videos go. You got a full NBA card. You got a full Major League Baseball card. You got pretty much the whole shooting shebang, as they say.
The smorgasbord.
Enjoy yourself over there. I'm doing these long form videos. I think you should join me and get in on the action and do one yourself. I think you'd be good at it. Maybe do. I have a couple ideas for you. We can talk about it later, but it's kind of fun. We get used to doing these short videos, and then we only get to do the live show. So it kind of makes it, your short videos are a little longer than mine, but it's still short. You don't get to really say you don't get to pull out like your full, volume. But with these, it's kind of like with each segment, you kind of just get to talk as long as you need to talk.
Yeah.
And you don't want to ramble on all day, but at the same time, you want to say everything you want to say, and you move on. You got, 10, 15 minutes to go over all your stuff, as opposed to, the 2 to 3 minutes, doing it the other way and kind of your own time and space. And I have a couple ideas for you. Not, I'm going to do them myself, but Anyways,
I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about it after the show because people will just steal the idea from us as they're going to do anyway. Anyways, Chris, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Last but not least, Rod Zwacky on the show. Rod, how's it going?
Going good. Going good. How's your Saturday going so far?
It's been a busy day. You know, I always up at really, really early on Saturdays, get a lot of stuff done early, kind of typical day for me. And, you know, it's funny. Someone was telling me about like how hard they work or whatever. I'm like, you realize you're talking to someone that by noon on an average day of the week, I've already worked 8 hours, you know, by noon. It's like it's crazy. And the time just flies, right? It's like
Flies, because
man,
it doesn't seem like
at-
you're doing
Yeah.
like you're doing all that work, and then next thing you know, you turn around, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that.
Oh,
and next
yeah.
thing you know, it's like, holy man, where did 6 hours go?
Yeah.
It didn't seem like I was at that for 6 hours. Wow.
It's crazy, you know, it's crazy. But yeah, NHL season starting to wind down. How much time is left in the NHL for those of us that don't really follow it that closely?
April 15th starts the playoffs, so a couple weeks at best here.
They generally, NHL is usually quick to the playoff, right? Or
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. They'll no wait, maybe 2 days at the most. I think they might wait between the playoff. They won't wait long. They just get right into it because the playoffs are so long. It's 7 rounds, 7 games, best of 7, and all the series. So yeah, they definitely it's wrapping up, but it's still some tight, close battles in the NHL. That's for sure.
Friday, April 14th is the last day of the regular season. There's only 2 games on that day.
Yeah, and I believe they start right after. So right after that, the next day, which is the Saturday, I believe April 15th is the first day.
April 17th, Monday.
Okay, so they wait till Monday. They do wait till the Monday. Okay.
Which is great. I like weekday also. They should do NHL during the day, the way they did it in the bubble, you know, kind of all day. I like it.
Have some during the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I'll watch some playoff hockey. I'll watch a game or 2.
Right? It's always so good. Sometimes they let them fight in the playoffs. Definitely a little more. They let a lot more go in the playoffs.
I just think in the playoffs, you start to see like a goalie or, you know, 1 goalie or 2 goalies that just all of a sudden they just find their game. It's like they're NHL goalies for a reason, and in the playoffs you see it, you know. And then you see other games. Yeah. You see other games where it's like the same guys. I mean, they can't even lace up the skates, you know. Right. So I remember, you know, Joel Quenneville getting asked, you know, when the Blackhawks gave up 8 goals against the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he said, you know, they said, well, what do you think about your goalie giving up 8 goals? And he said, well, the other guy gave up 9.
Yeah, right.
You know, what else?
Sometimes you get those games. It happens. Sometimes they just can't even stop a beach ball. It's like,
I tell this story all the time. My college roommate was starting center on, you know, national championship team, and you know, some bartender who played in a bar in a league, you know, and he'd been playing his whole life, and you know, in some Boston hockey leagues. He said that, you know, he could stop one of his shots, and they bet, you know, that he could take 100 shots on him and he couldn't stop any. And believe me, we sat there and you got about 16 in, and you knew he wasn't going to stop one. You know, it was not going to happen. You know, it's like he could have gotten 1,000.
Right.
It is not as easy as these guys make it look.
No, not even close. That's one position I would not want to play.
It's almost like trying to swat a fly with your hand. You know, it's like it really is that hard.
Because it goes so fast. So hard. Some of those 110 miles an hour. Oh, what was that?
They've only gotten better at it, you know, with the equipment.
And they've only gotten better at it. Yeah, exactly.
Gotten better.
They've gotten way better.
Well, what do you got?
They got bigger pads, bigger this. But speaking of hockey, we can head right into this hockey game. We're gonna go with the first game up on the board today. Where the St. Louis Blues and the Nashville Predators. I know, surprisingly, both these teams actually are still scrapping for a playoff spot. The Blues have not been eliminated from the playoff contention, and they've been rolling right along. The better of these two teams, 6-3-1 in their last 10, 5-1 in their last 6 road games. And 4-0 off of one day's rest are these St. Louis Blues, just playing the better hockey. This Preds team 0-4 after allowing 2 goals or less in the previous game. Blues 5-1 in the last 6 meetings. Binnington's going to get the start for the Blues in goal here. Saros is likely. It's not confirmed yet, but it'd be likely that Saros gets the goal in the starting goal for the Nashville Predators. And the 3 meetings this season, St. Louis 2-1 on those, including the last 2 meetings where they handily beat the Nashville Predators here. And the worst name in sports. We're going to bet against them. Give us the St. Louis Blues here, who are playing the better hockey and rolling right along. Take the Blues in the plus money in this one.
All right.
To start.
Oops.
To start your Saturday winner
There
in
we
the NHL.
There we go. I got lost for a second. Lost in the hockey game. Well, what else you got cooking today at Pick Dogs?
And then quickly, I'll tell you what I got cooking in the Florida Derby. I follow every sport, big major horse racing going. I love the major horse races, so I take the extra time and put the bets in. So for me, in your Florida Derby here, you're basically you've got a winner who's definitely most likely going to win this race. In Forte, he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's already won the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth earlier this season and easily won that race. But in this race, there's only the number 4 horse in the Florida Derby, Mage. He was in that. He was in the Fountain of Youth race, and just got stuck wide and had to burn up too much gas trying to get back to the front, going 5 wide on the first turn. Yeah, that's not good for any horse being 5 wide on the outside on the first turn. And he gets Luis Saez on the mount. So I'm going to take a shot here with the number 4 in Mage with Luis Saez on the mount. Do a 10 or 11-4 exactor box in that one. Mage has a chance to upset Forte in that one, but the favorite is just so strong in that race. There's also another the big Arkansas Derby going today as well, and I like an upset in that. Take Rocket Can 4-1 on that one. So a couple big races getting ready for the prep races for the big Derby. Arkansas Derby going today too. So
Florida Derby generally favorite heavy. Arkansas Derby generally usually a good place to catch a long shot to suit out.
Right. So go with Rocket Can.
But anything can happen when you have horses at this caliber. It's kind of like the Breeders' Cup when you get to this stage, because these are young horses, so we haven't really seen them run against the toughest of competition yet. And it's like there's no cheap horses in these races, so it's like you're getting you're getting big odds on a big money horse. It's like, man, it's well worth taking a punt on it.
Mage is 10-1 morning odds on the number 4 horse in the Florida Derby. So I'm going to take a shot with Luis Saez on his back, and I think he's got a good shot to win place in there. So I'm going to go with the number 4 to upset the Florida Derby, and then the number 7 horse in the Arkansas Derby, Rocket Can. I think I got a good shot to win that one too. So.
All right, Rod. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Let's make it a winning day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try and act more professional then. Make it a winning day.